Biz, you mentioned the Bruins, right?
Yes, I did. They dropped a fucking nuke on
Big
on
time.
Monday?
Yeah. Bruins fired head coach Bruce Cassidy after his 6th season coaching the team. General manager Don Sweeney said, after taking some time to fully digest everything, I felt that the direction of our team for both this season and beyond would benefit from a new voice. Cassidy went to the playoffs each season, won the Jack Adams in 20, won the East in 19, of course, before losing to the Blues in 7. Great record there, 245, 108, and 46 in 399 games, 36 and 37 in the playoffs. He had a year left at $3 million, and we're hearing this word quite a bit from the Boston media, scapegoat. Everyone's calling him a scapegoat. He should have been fired. He's taken the blame for the front office screwing up lately, and I think there might be some truth to that. But when we talked a while back, I said I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of him. I would have preferred they just did some house cleaning and got rid of everybody, but I don't know. I wasn't told.
I heard he's intense, can be a little bit difficult to play for. I wouldn't say that is an issue for like the star players, because we know that they are treated a little bit differently. Was I shocked to hear it? Absolutely. Given the success of the team, people might say, well, what success? They got bounced in the first round. I thought that they played a pretty fucking solid series against Carolina. To find out afterward that McAvoy, Marchand, and Bergeron and Grzelcyk like all had to get surgery. Was it Grzelcyk or Bergeron who had to get it?
They both did.
So 4 guys had to end up getting surgery. So that's a pretty sick, and all those names that we just mentioned, and you saw that Grzelcyk struggled during that series. So obviously now we know it was due to injury, but the fact that they pushed Carolina, a better team throughout the regular season, to the brink, I do think that he is a bit of a scapegoat. I think that one of their major issues has been drafting and developing throughout that time. You go back to the draft that you always harp on, where they had 3 first-rounders where they missed on every fucking guy. The only other guy they've, I think, drafted since then who's been an impactful player to the lineup, who has really, become a core member of that group, is McAvoy. And I thought that they fought hard, and I just don't really understand the move. So if anything, it should probably be on Don Sweeney and the fact that they don't have the players and personnel to get them over the edge. Because other than all those, the top line, Pastrnak, Bergeron, and Marchand, like, who else can they really rely on to be a guy who's going to provide consistent offense?
I cannot believe Don Sweeney still has a job. It shocks me that he still has a job. And I wasn't that surprised about Cassidy, only because I've heard from so many different people that they really hate him. Like, the players really hated him. So it's kind of like when you hear that, there's, where there's smoke, there's fire. But Don Sweeney to still have a job, talk to Bruins fans, is shocking. I mean, he comes off as just so arrogant and like, I know exactly what I'm doing. Just like, don't question me. It's like, dude, what have you done? You got here with all this talent, and like, you haven't really done anything to make the team any better. You screwed them royally with that draft. What year was that draft? All right.
15.
Like Barzal, Kyle Connor, Shabbat, all these fucking names. Like, you take 3 guys, DeBrusk has played, the other 2 have done nothing. What has Don Sweeney done to still have a job?
He's not even under contract right now. That's the crazy part.
But obviously he is, because if he was given for him to be given the ability to fire Cassidy, it means he's got a job that's going to be announced, or a contract.
They did bring St. Louis to Game 7 of that final, but
like, what did Sweeney do for that?
Correct. Yeah.
I don't know. All right, you're like the Bruins guy. Like, what has Don Sweeney done? What are his good moves?
He brought in Marcus Johansson. Yeah, I know it's a weird name to pull up. I thought that was a decent move, but yeah, I mean, they paid heavily for Lee Stempniak, who they could have signed at the beginning of the year, a few seasons back. 2 draft picks they gave up. They gave up a 3rd rounder for Zach Ronaldo when they probably could have fucking gave the other, whatever team they traded for, probably could have sent them a pizza and a sub and got him a 3rd rounder for Ronaldo. No disrespect for him, but it was like, what? You could have gotten for nothing.
They gave David Backes the bag.
They gave Backes an enormous contract when he was, on the back 9 and he had head issues. They sent Lindgren was part of the deal to get Rick Nash. Look how fucking good Ryan Lindgren looks now. It's like move after move after move. These Harvard guys, they think they're so much smarter than everyone else. Is it not true, Mar? These Harvard guys drive me crazy.
They're all a little different, but that's why they're so smart. But here's a smart thing that I came up with on my own in all the travel from Pearson Airport. How about it wasn't Cassidy that did the problem, but somebody new on the market came available that they want even more, like Barry Trotz.
That's a
maybe or someone else. So that's another way to look at it. Maybe it's not so bad him, but there's somebody they've had their eye on for a few years.
But talk about like a coach who is completely hosed the minute he takes this job. I mean, they don't have Marchand. Actually, they don't have Marchand and McAvoy definitely to start the season. Who knows if Bergeron will be back? You don't know. Grizzlick, I think, won't be ready for the beginning of the year. So you got this new coach coming in. They might be one of the worst teams in the league the first 2 months. And Don Sweeney's getting an extension. It's like, I don't even understand how that is possible. If you're going to get rid of Cassidy, and it is true, all the players couldn't stand playing for him, even with the success they had, to get rid of both of them. Right? Like, clean house.
Yeah. Like I said a few weeks back, like, what are you going to keep him for? Sweeney hasn't done enough to warrant keeping his job. But this is where we talked about in the show before, sort of the good old boys network and nepotism factor or friend factor. And, Sweeney and Neely were teammates. I don't know if they were boys back then, but we don't want an Edmonton Oilers situation here with all former players like driving the team into the ground like that. No, well, fuck that. We want to stay consistent. We should have still been a contender, but he fucked up that draft. He fucked a couple other moves. Like, we should have been another 4 years here. Bergeron, I think he'd be probably more likely to come back with no Cassidy here, because if he was going to be there next year, you can't stand him. I guess that's what I've been told. He's fed up with him. I guess that's a big reason Krejci left too. He wasn't a big fan of his. And I know that like the media's circling the wagons here for him, and I get it. Like, he's a great quote. He talks to them. He's nice to them. And that's what the media does. They're like, oh, this is an abomination, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, wait a minute. He's been here for 6 years. That's longer than most guys are in this league before they get shit canned. And, you're hearing all these stories about players not liking them. Again, not every player likes their coach, but when it's enough that, where there's smoke, there's fire, man, yeah, get rid of him. But I don't get keeping Sweeney either. I don't think he's earned whatever kind of deal or extension they're going to give him. Obviously, it's coming if they let him just fire this guy. So I don't know, man. I said it the second period of the Canes game. I tweeted out, this is it. This era is over. It's been real. It's been good. Wish we got another cup out of it, but dark times ahead for Bruins fans, man. Shitty draft and fucking piss poor.
And now they're looking at deal Pasta. Grinelli, what were you going to say, G?
I was just going to say, before we get to that, I don't understand how Don Sweeney still has a job when there's a guy like Chris McFarland, the assistant GM in Colorado, who's been with them since 2015. He's been a part of all these drafts. When you look at how loaded this Colorado team is, who was there drafting these guys? Chris McFarland. I just don't understand how Don Sweeney has a job when there's a guy like that available. And then there's this Pasta news coming out that if they don't get a contract extension this summer, they're going to talk about trading him to rebuild. You rebuild to get guys like David Pastrnak. So I that blows my mind when you have McAvoy, you have Swayman, you have Lindholm, they're all under 30, and you're going to talk about rebuilding. That's fucking crazy to me that you would trade David Pastrnak when you rebuild to get guys like Pastrnak.
How about this? Sweeney's, this is an article from NBC Sports Boston. Sweeney's draft misses go way beyond 2015. He's traded 3 first-round picks since 2015, which means he's only made 8 round 1 selections as a general manager. Here they are: Jacob Zaboral, Jake DeBrusk, Zach Shincheshin, McAvoy, Trent Frederick, Urho Vakanainen, John Beecher, and Fabian Lysell. Now, granted, at least Lysell and Beecher were 2021 and 2019. Okay, let's go to his free agency signings. 2015, Bolesky. 2016, David Backes, Riley Nash, Tim Schaller. 2017, nothing. 2018, Yaroslav Halak, Chris Wagner, John Moore. 2019, nothing. 2020, Craig Smith. 2021, Linus Ullmark, Nick Foligno, Thomas Nosek, Eric Holla, and Derek Forbert. I mean, draft and free agency.
Well,
the
two you mentioned early on didn't finish their contracts in Boston.
It's right? Like, how does he have a job? Oh my God.
So
and to see Cassidy get fired, the only good thing is, I by the way, I don't know Cassidy. I've heard guys don't like him. I've never met him, but he'll have a job pretty quickly.
Oh God, yeah. Especially with all the vacancies right now. And that's the other thing. Media says, oh, he's going to get hired right away. It's like, yeah, well, of course he is. He's a fucking coach. He's active. That's how it works in this league. Like, they do 5-6 years, they get fired, they go somewhere else. Like,
Things obviously do change too, though. Like this, it was a long time ago, but Bates Battaglia did come on our podcast and he said that Bruce Cassidy is not the most likable coach. And
well,
and
we'd also touch on it. You don't necessarily have to like your coach, but I will say you don't have a long shelf life if that is the case. So 6 years is a long time if you're going to, and like, he does seem like he's like, does not have a good time at the rink. Like, does he often crack jokes in these press? He looks pissed off all the time. So I don't know how you go live your life like that, but whatever. All the power to him, and I know he's going to get the bag somewhere else.
He did decline comment to the Globe's Matt Porter. He texted back, it's still very raw. Of course, he had been with the organization almost 15 years.
He was pissed.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's been with them 15 years. That's a long time. He was down in Providence for a while, did a lot of work for him. And yeah, I'm sure it's upsetting to get fired. And again, when we say this stuff in the locker room, we're not calling him a bad guy or saying anything like that at all. It's just his interpersonal relationship with his team. If they don't like him, that, we're not calling the guy a bad guy or anything like that. It's just,
I heard fucking Keenan was a fucking asshole as a coach, and we've heard all the stories about him. I'd still say hey to him, and from what I hear, he's a pretty good guy away from the rink. Some guys have their tactics, and that's the way they coach. It's just like, well, if that's the way you're going to coach, you got to reap what you sow, my friend.
Well, there was some good news out of Boston anyways. Patrice Bergeron won his record 5th Selke trophy. He also had surgery on his left elbow, we just mentioned, but he should be ready for the next season if he does decide to come back for a 19th season. Regardless of whether he does or not, the Bees, like we just said, they're going to be very short-handed with all these guys out, and you got to think that's going to factor in too. He's banged up. He's played 18 hard years, and if the team's not looking like a playoff team, like, you want to go out there and just beat your body up again? I don't know, man. I don't think he knows right now. What would you say? Would he come back or no?
I think he does. I think Cass, and this is such a like, you got your tinfoil cap on. I think for them to fire Cassidy, it's like maybe secretly that's what he wanted, right? And
what if Bergeron's going to become the head coach right away?
Player coach
Reg Dunlop. That would be a story in itself. I think he comes back. I do.